Welcome to the podcast. It's the magical holidays. Time for Joe watching 60 Christmas movies in 60 days. Why, you might ask? Because it sounds like a crazy task to be watching 60 Christmas movies in 60 days. It'll be struggle, no I won't lie. By the halfway point I will lose my mind, but with your support I'm gonna be fine. So let's have a blast on this Christmas time. Join me now and let's find out about today's Christmas movie. Was it good or bad? Happy or sad? Is there another dead mom and dad? Let's get to it with no delay. It's your old pal Joe and he's happy to say welcome to Joe watches 60 Christmas movies in 60 days.
How's it going, everybody? It's me, it's your old pal Joe, and welcome to episode number 8 of Joe Watches 60 Christmas Movies in 60 Days. High five, digital high five, electronic high five from me to you, from you to me, hopefully also. We made it to number 8, and feeling a little tuckered out this morning as I record this episode. Time change. I'm recording this the morning after the time change, so I got an extra hour of sleep, and yet my body was like, are you sure that's all the sleep you have in you? And I thought, well, geez, body, I don't know, man. I guess I could get more, but I have to record an episode to release today. I'm not even ahead anymore. I was ahead, but you're telling me, body, that you need more sleep. And body was all like, yeah, buddy, that's exactly what I'm saying. I said, was there anything else that can sate your desire for sleep? And they said, you know what? I'll make you a deal. The only thing I'd like more than sleep is if you just get up, record a podcast, run a bunch of errands, and then come home and don't sleep anymore. And I said, body, that's a weird deal, but you got it. Handshake on that. And then my body shook my hand, because it's part of my body, and we agreed that there would be no more sleeping until late tonight, because that's the magic of our existence. You know what else is magical? That's right, my friends down at ThirdEyeComics.com, the sponsor for Season 4 of Joe Watches 60 Christmas Movies in 60 Days. I swear I'm going to mention them in every single episode, and every single episode it's going to make me chuckle that I come up with some kind of weird seg into talking about them and their wonderful service and their myriad of products. But I'm also going to think, that's right, I have an official sponsor for the podcast. That's still a thing that I'm dealing with here. In any case, don't forget, if you need any comics, graphic novels, music, movies, and anything to do with gaming, whether it's the miniatures that you play with or the games that you play upon, please check out my friends at Third Eye Comics, shop.thirdeyecomics.com. They'd love to help you, and if you do go over there, if you do check out something, you buy something, make sure you say you were sent by Joe, just so that they know you're supporting them, because they're supporting me. Let's move on to the movie, friends. It's Christmas a la mode. This is the one, minus like any awful thing that I've watched that I don't want to talk about anymore. This movie felt the smallest. This felt like a very small movie, despite the fact that there were lots of actors and characters in various scenes, much more than in other movies I've watched. It still felt very small. Like everything within this movie's world took place basically within 3 sets. That's not actually accurate. It's just how it felt. Anyway, we open on a snowy farm, and we see our main character, Emily, coming out of a barn, and she's taking in the day. She runs this dairy farm. We'll learn more about her later on. In fact, no, you know what? We'll learn about her right now. Her name is Emily. She runs this dairy farm. She runs it with her mom. And that's because her dad passed away, which of course he did. Of course he had to pass away. And this dairy farm is not doing as good as it once did. In fact, it came to her with a lot of challenges already packed in. So she's struggling to make ends meet, struggling to make ends do anything, honestly. But she's taking in the day. She seems very happy to be there on her dairy farm with all of her cows. She runs into Gloria, who's, I guess, a ranch hand, for lack of a better term. She's helping out on the farm. And Emily says, oh, geez, I'm surprised you're still here. It's in the late afternoon. I don't know, something. And I know that you've been here since 3 a.m. And Gloria says, well, it's not a 9 to 5 position. But speaking of nothing in particular, you guys gonna be able to pay me some money soon? Because I haven't been paid in 2 weeks, and I'm trying to buy my kids some Christmas gifts. Specifically, we'd like to fly to Florida as a nice surprise for them. Is there any chance that you guys could be able to pay me soon? She might not have worded it like that. And Emily said, you know what, for sure, New Jersey, we got you. Well, when I say for sure, I mean probably. We're working on things. Things should be straightened out. I promise we'll get you that money so that you guys can go to Florida. And Gloria accepts this because she's been with this family for a long time. And she knows that's not an exact quote for what Emily said. Joe may have indulged a bit with some creative endeavors. After assuring Gloria that she'd be able to get this money to her, she walks away worried, so we know she was at least lying a little bit. Old Emily heads back to the house where she lives, which is on the farm. I don't know what you would call that, but it's a house that's on the farm. And she finds her mom decorating for Christmas, and specifically putting up a whole bunch of Santa Clauses. We find out that their dad, one of their dad, the other one that's their husband, the dad of the family, he loved to collect Santa Clauses, and he had, based upon what we're seeing here, probably about 100 of them, which is a lot of Santa Clauses. Little teeny Santa Clauses, but there's probably some big ones mixed in. Emily kind of comes in, kind of tired after a long day of work. She brings up Gloria not getting paid, and the mom immediately replies with, "Gloria understands." And it's like, what? That's fucked up, Mom. What do you mean Gloria understands? Yeah, she understands she's not getting paid for work that she's doing for us. That's what she understands. If you mean that she also understands the situation, that doesn't mean anything, man. She should get her money. She also says that, the end of the year is always difficult because they have a, we'll get to that. You know what? Fuck that. We're going to talk about it now just because I'm tired and I just want to get through this episode. They have it's a dairy farm, right? So they have an ice cream shop on the premises, which they don't address for a while. You just keep seeing people eating ice cream. By people, I mean Emily. You just keep seeing her eat ice cream throughout the opening scenes. When she wakes up and she comes out of that barn at the beginning, ice cream in hand. When something else happens, in this scene here, she talks about eating ice cream. And then in the next scene, when she's crying on a porch in a moment, you'll find out why. She's eating ice cream. And the movie doesn't address it until another 20 so minutes later. When you find out, I knew it because I know the movie is called Christmas a la mode. But within the movie, there's no explanation as to why these people just keep eating ice cream. Why do they keep eating ice cream? Granted, ice cream is delicious. That's not what I'm getting at. My point is simply, it's odd that ice cream keeps appearing and none of the characters address it. I don't know. I guess they know why they're eating ice cream. Anyway, we find out the end of the year is always difficult because, among other reasons, the ice cream shop is closed for winter. So Gloria should understand. Emily says she's sick of things being difficult. How did Dad manage this? Because he's dead, and so she can't ask him directly. Her mom says he handled it by being an eternal optimist. With hard work and perseverance, everything always works out. And that is patently not true. Looking into the different Santa Clauses that have been decorated around the living room already, Emily says she sure could use some of that Christmas spirit right about now. And then this is the nighttime when she's sitting on the porch and she's crying and she's eating ice cream. She's talking to the sky as if her dad is the sky or is in the sky, and saying that she could use a Christmas miracle right about now. Things are so hard. She's worried that Gloria is going to leave them, and that without her, they know they can't make the farm work. She asks for a sign, something, anything, to make her think it'll be okay. And just then, wouldn't you know it, just at that very moment, a star streaks across the sky. Emily laughs. She didn't actually expect anything. With that sign, she promises to hang in there and wait for the Christmas miracle that'll fix everything. The next day, Emily heads to the bank to talk to a guy named Trey about extending her line of credit. So she's going to this bank, and Trey's like, look, we've already extended your family a lot of credit. It's not a good idea to extend any more credit, because if you extend more credit and you're not able to pay it back as you already have not been able to pay it back, you will lose the farm. And that is a bad idea. And she's like, look, I'm going to lose the farm if I don't extend that credit. So can you extend me that credit? And he's like, you know what? I guess. So while they close this business deal, Trey says, how is your sister? He does not address her as, how is your sister, Dorothy? He simply says, how is Dorothy? But my friends, you don't know who Dorothy is. So he goes, how's Dorothy? And Emily's like, I haven't talked to her in a bit. Actually, she lives in the city. Of course, the city. She lives in the city. So, we don't talk that much. And I don't expect her to come home for the holidays. She doesn't seem to. It's a pretty big journey to get back here. And he's sad. And he goes, well, if you talk to her, just tell her I said hi. And so this is when you find out Trey is interested in Emily's sister, Dorothy. Oh, he also suggests, he says, look, instead of losing the farm outright because you can't pay back your debts, have you considered selling the farm, making a whole bunch of money off of it, and using that to pay back your debts and also have a lot of money for yourself? That land could get a pretty penny. Emily does not want to hear here. They're not going to sell the farm. They're not going to sell the land. She says, you knew my dad, and knows that's not what he would have wanted. Back at the farm, we watch Emily clean the barn ahead of a Christmas barn celebration, which surprisingly does not happen until much later in the movie. When you have a setup scene like this, where somebody's cleaning something ahead of a celebration like this in the barn, that's usually the next scene, and it's not. It's towards the end of the movie. A very business-looking businessman walks up and interrupts Emily talking to the cows. She's pretty embarrassed. She explains she does talk to the cows because that's how her dad did it, and also a happy cow is, but then she's interrupted by someone finishing the line. A happy cow is a productive cow, and who should say it but her sister Dorothy, who lives in the city. She's not supposed to be here. She's supposed to be in the city. What in the heck is Dorothy doing there? She says she's come to save Christmas. That man there is Charlie, or as I like to call him, Charlie Business. He's working with Dorothy on a project, and she has to head inside so they could have a talk. We can see that Charlie Business is immediately into Emily, which is good because they're going to end up smooching later. Dorothy asks how things are going with the farm. Emily lies and says it's fine. Dorothy says, if that's the case, why am I getting these notices? And then she pulls out a whole bunch of copies of bills that say they're past due. Turns out their dad left the farm to both of them, so she's getting these types of notices as well. Why didn't Emily say anything? Emily says, well, I guess I just didn't want to admit it to myself. I haven't even told Mom yet how bad the farm is. She doesn't want her to worry. Emily promises, though, she has it under control. She even went to the bank to talk to Trey, and immediately Dorothy lights up. Oh, Trey? How's Trey doing? Is he doing well? He's fine. He's fine. Charlie asks who Trey is. Emily explains that it's Dorothy's old high school crush. Dorothy totally denies it. That's not who he is. He's just a bloke. She doesn't say that word. That's my word. They get back to business talk. Dorothy has a plan to help. In fact, she has an offer to buy the dairy farm. Charlie Business is from an investment group who is interested in buying the farm. Emily doesn't want to listen, even interrupting Dorothy over and over like a petulant child. Thankfully, she doesn't interrupt Charlie, who explains he works for a dairy conglomerate who's willing to pay more than market price for the farm. They even want to keep it open and operating as a dairy farm. The place continuing to run instead of being shut down and turned into something else, that should be considered a victory. But Emily won't have it. She doesn't want to get money. She wants to keep the farm. Dorothy suggests that it would take a Christmas miracle to save the farm. Magical music plays in the background as Emily says, in fact, she has a miracle in mind. She even offers to buy Dorothy out from the agreement so that she's no longer a part owner of the dairy farm. According to the documents when their dad passed away, this would require $400,000. Emily says, I'll take care of it. I'll figure it out. Charlie is silent. Charlie Business is silent, but seems impressed with Emily. We cut to dinner. Both Dorothy and Charlie have stayed for dinner. Charlie is very pleased with getting a home-cooked meal because, in the city, when you're dealing with business, home-cooked meals are very hard to come by in the city. No one lives there. It's just business. Business in the city. Mom is so happy to see Dorothy and says that she should visit more. Dorothy says, well, you could always visit me in the city. Her mom replies, it's just so far. And I'm like, okay, fine. But then why should Dorothy make that distance? That's how distance works. It's the same both ways. Dorothy, to acquiesce to Emily's wishes, hides why she's in town, just referring to it as business. Of course it's business. We find out Charlie Business loves the collection of Santa Clauses in the home. Mom asks Dorothy how long she's planning to be around for. Well, I'm heading out that night. But then Charlie says, yeah, I'm sticking around, though, to help close the sale of the farm. And then, oops, he realizes what he said. Everyone is stunned that it's leaked out of his mouth. They let the cat out of the bag. Pretty fast with that one. Mom immediately freaks out. What's this about? What's going on? What's he mean? What does he mean? What does he mean? What does Charlie Business mean? What does Chuck Business mean? Emily comes partially clean and admits that there's a bit of a cash flow problem. Dorothy clarifies that the farm is going under and you guys need to sell. We need to sell. Mom sits straight up and says it was nice seeing Dorothy and nice to meet Charlie. She then excuses herself from the table to cry in the other room. The sisters bicker with Dorothy eventually saying that the sale must be closed by Christmas Eve. They try to bring logic to that sort of weird deadline. The sale has to be closed by the end of the year, but nothing really happens between Christmas and New Year's, so you have to close the sale by Christmas Eve. Dorothy storms out, but before Charlie leaves, Charlie Business, he promises that they're trying to help, and he leaves as well. Emily finds her mom crying on the porch. She explains that she worked as hard as she could, but every month found them falling further and further behind. Her mom says, I asked you how things were going, and you said you had it under control. Emily says she's sorry. It was just her pride getting in the way. Mom sniffles a bit and then says, you know what? It's time to start feeling sorry for ourselves, or stop feeling sorry for ourselves. Not to start, actually. and to start solving the problem. Emily is sure they can do it, even mentions the sign from her dad. Her mom says, oh, he sends me signs all the time. We cut to Emily, Mom, and Gloria, the helper from the farm, brainstorming ideas on how they can make some money. They're all eating ice cream. We find out the ice cream shop, this is what I mentioned earlier, is closed for the winter. And it's also that they make the ice cream, I know it's not a big surprise, from the milk from the cows on the farm, and it's apparently the most delicious ice cream in all of wherever they're at. Emily makes a list of assets and liabilities. Liabilities, money, time, winter, overhead. Assets, Dorothy, who at least made them face their problem. Emily thinks, you know what? We have the best tasting ice cream in the world. And we have 3 smart women who can figure this out. This doesn't make any sense. They have closed the ice cream shop for the winter, as is tradition. And the only thing they keep coming back to is their ice cream, the ice cream, the ice cream. And then it's not until the end of this scene where they're like, wait a second, maybe we should sell some more ice cream somehow. She points out that despite it being winter, they're all eating ice cream. If we eat ice cream year-round, why do we close the shop for the winter? They need to open the shop. Ice cream for Christmas. Like it's some big, like they're just discovering a new chemical. Oh my God, guys, why don't we sell ice cream? People will enjoy ice cream at Christmas. We cut to Emily working inside the ice cream shop. It's like a standalone roadside looking business with a bar or a counter and some stools in front of that and some tables and booths around the edge. It's very quaint looking. It almost looks like a small diner, except in this diner, all they serve is ice cream and some beverages. And cookies. They also sell some cookies. We see Emily cleaning, getting things organized, and waiting. Mostly waiting for any customers to come in. Finally, she has a customer walk through the door, but it's actually just old Charlie Business coming to check on things to see how they are. He says, look, I have to give the potential buyers at the dairy conglomerate a tour of the facility, so I figured I'd look around myself ahead of time just to get a lay of the land. And, you know, if you're selling ice cream, I figure I should probably try that as well. So he orders 6 scoops with sprinkles. She points out they call them Jimmy's, and I say, okay, that's a great point out. Thanks for that. You know what? In England, they call them hundreds and thousands. So there. Now we've all learned something. Except me, who I knew all 3 of these things. When he gets his gargantuan sundae, Charlie Business wonders if maybe Emily won't join him. It's a lot of ice cream for one person. And it's like, yeah, man, you ordered it. She reluctantly does and guides him through the different varieties in the bowl. He loves them all, and Emily credits the Happy Cows. And he thinks, oh, that has a nice ring to it. The Happy Cows. He also breaks down the realities of what Emily is facing. In order to buy Dorothy out, she needs $400,000 by Christmas. That's what, 200,000 ice cream cones? You're not going to sell it this way. You need to generate some buzz. You need to get a way to get people talking. And then Emily has an idea. She needs a contest. They'll have a contest where people can contribute flavor ideas. And then the winner of that contest will get free ice cream for a year. And we'll have different flavors basically every day, which is far too often. We'll have different flavors basically every day. And then people can come in. They can vote on which one they like the most. And then we'll sell more ice cream that way. It'll generate buzz. He loves the idea, Charlie Business does. He also suggests that they could set up a crowdfunding campaign, a way to turn their customers into advocates and also supporters. She's in. She loves that idea herself. But then she catches herself. Wait, why are you helping me? He says, maybe I feel a little guilty about what happened at dinner. And also, I don't mind a fair fight. Emily says, well, that's good because you're about to get one. We cut to Gloria and Emily recording a video. After a few takes, they finally settle on a message that they're going to post online that basically focuses on deliciousness of the ice cream as well as introducing people to the farm and even some of the cows by name. She also lays out the terms of the contest. People can come to the stand and try the different Christmas flavors every single day and vote on which ones they like the most. And I've already explained the rest to you, actually. The ladies all think the video is great and said about contacting people they know at the newspaper, at radio station, even someone who they know at the local news desk. We're at the ice cream stand now, and Emily is getting ready for customers, except no one's coming in. The only person that does come in is, gosh darn it, it's Charlie Business. She's frustrated and almost quits. She sees it's him. And she's like, you know what? This is bullshit. This is some straight up bullshit. I'm done. She takes off her apron. She gently folds it up. She sets her apron down. She's like, I am out of here. This was a waste of time and a waste of effort. And then immediately, like 10 people all come in at the same time. Why are all the customers arriving at the same time? Did they all get lost? Was there a caravan coming? Why did all the customers show up at once? It makes more sense if you have like one customer who's super eager, comes at the beginning of the day. and then nobody for a while because everybody else is being cool, calm, and collected. They're like, we're going to show up when we want to show up. We're not going to show up early like a bunch of nerds, like that one person. And then they show up later on. But they're also not going to show up 10 or 15 wide at once. Everybody wants to try today's special flavor of ice cream. It's called Christmas Kiss, which is ice cream, some sort of ice cream, mixed with Hershey Kiss Bits. Everybody's having a good time. The place gets so busy that both Gloria and Mom have to help out. Gloria mentions that she built a website for the shop and updates Emily with the info that they're getting flavor ideas from around the country. Emily even greets a customer who talks about a flavor she just submitted, Candy Cane Swirl, which is candy canes crushed up and swirled into strawberry ice cream. Emily thinks that sounds great and says they'll make it the flavor for the next day. They don't have the flavor ready for the next day? How much can you make in one night? And why are you trying to make that much ice cream every single night? Get ahead of the game. Also, this is day one of the contest. You didn't have a second flavor idea in mind when you started? You're immediately taking it from the audience? I would have done that. I would have had, like I did this year, I had basically the first 15 movies planned out before I even started watching one, just to make it easier on myself. So I'm not spinning through Tubi or Amazon or whoever else looking for something to watch late at night. While all of this is going on, we see Charlie Business in the background watching it and smiling. He might just be into Emily after all. Just then another businessman walks in. Charlie left at that point. Another businessman walks in. He wants to talk to Emily about an idea he has. He says he saw her crowdfunding site and he'd like to buy the farm. Specifically, he wants to buy the land because he's not just a dairy farm company guy. He is a real estate developer. He wants to buy the land because it's so valuable. He'll give him more than any dairy conglomerate could give, but she's still not interested. She says it's not for sale, and he says everything's for sale. He points out that they can make 10 times more money by selling the land to him instead of Dairy World. She says she's not selling to anyone and walks off in a huff. We then cut to the farm where Charlie shows around the people from Dairy World. Emily and Gloria watch and feel real bad about this. Afterward, Charlie tells Emily that it went well, but she's still not interested. He tries to make nice by saying he's rooting for her. He even asks if there's anything around the farm that he can help with. He's feeling cooped up, staying in his hotel room every single day. She says, really? Well, how are you with a bone saw? He says, I'm not bad. Or he actually just shrugs and is like, oh, I'm not bad. Cut to them heading out to cut a Christmas tree. And this seems like a very personal thing for the family to do. And you're inviting someone that at this point you're kind of feeling antipathy towards. You're not on board with Charlie Business, and yet you're inviting him to help you cut down the family Christmas tree for the year. Regardless, that is what happens here. As they look for a tree, they talk about her dad and how much he loved Christmas. They also chat about Dorothy and how when she moved to the city it broke her dad's heart, and now she's back to sell the dang farm. Way to go, Dorothy. Later that night, we catch up with Emily and Mom decorating the tree. Mom talks about how nice it was of Charlie Business to help out with getting the tree, but Emily is not totally ready to forgive him for trying to sell the farm. And walks Charlie Business. There is no indication that he is still there. Where did he come from? Why is he still at the farm so late at night? There is never going to be an explanation. My friends will never find out why Charlie Business is still there. Regardless, Mom invites him to stay for dinner. He's in as long as they let him make dessert. We cut to him making dessert. He's rolling out dough. He talks about how happy he is in the kitchen. He doesn't get to cook much at home due to the job. He explains, and this is half of a joke, when he's not selling family farms, he works in commercial real estate. We jump ahead to him pulling a gigantic apple pie out of the oven. The women are blown away. Emily knows just the thing to go with this apple pie. You got it, vanilla ice cream. As they eat, Charlie Business reminisces about Christmases from his childhood with the pie and the fresh-cut tree and the logs in the fireplace. It all brings back memories of his childhood. He then concludes that his pie and this ice cream are a match made in heaven. This gives Emily an idea. Apple pie ice cream. They hurry over to the ice cream machine in another building somewhere, where she takes the rest of the pie, it's about half the pie, and she adds it to the mix. While they wait for the ice cream to finish, she shows off the various submissions that they've already received, including one called fruitcake ice cream. They don't think that that's going to be a big hit. Talk turns to Dorothy, where Chucky Business talks about how Dorothy's not as bad as Emily thinks. Emily knows, but it's still hard because she doesn't get Dorothy doesn't get what farm life means to Emily and Mom. With that, the ice cream is ready. They try it, and oh my, it's a Christmas flavor explosion. They decide on a name. That's right, Christmas a la mode, the same name as the movie. Now all they need is a bunch more pies. Charlie explains that he has to head back to the city the next day, but then thinking it over, he goes, you know what, I can be a little late. He'll come over early the next day, and they'll get to work.
Then we get a farming and baking montage, leading to Charlie officially submitting his flavor in the contest box, much to Emily's delight. With that, he has to head back to town. She sure does like him at this point. Woo-wee. We get a quick bit of her on the radio, we get a story in the newspaper, and Emily even being interviewed by a local news team. We jump ahead to the shop, quickly selling through their new pie flavor, Christmas a la mode. They need more pies, but Emily doesn't have Charlie's number. She's going to have to call Dorothy to get it. Oh, man. So she does call Dorothy, and the call does not go well. Dorothy is a 100% full-fledged jerk on the call, and she won't give her Charlie's number, mostly because she's not explaining why she wants to talk to Charlie. So once she can't get the number, she's like, can you at least tell him that I called? And Dorothy's like, well, why are you calling? What is the deal here? What is going on? So she won't even agree to tell him that she called. When the call ends, you kind of feel a reason for Dorothy's frustration here. And she says, well, call me again when you need something. Dorothy abruptly hangs up the phone when Charlie walks in her office. He finds out Emily's looking for him, but changes the subject to something he noticed in the paperwork that they're dealing with in regards to the farm. It seems like Dorothy is now also talking to the real estate team that visited Emily. No, we'll find out it's a second real estate team, but it doesn't really matter. It's basically another land developer that's not looking to keep the farm open. Charlie Business says, why are you doing that? They'll close the farm. Dorothy notes that their offer is much higher, and what do we care if the farm is closed? We're not going to own it anymore. Charlie is annoyed and says, your sister wouldn't agree. Later, he calls Emily to see what she needed. When she explains that she needs a recipe, he says, look, I can't give it to you. He had joked earlier about, like, I can't tell you the secret recipe. I can't tell you what it is. Can't tell you. But this time, he's like, no, seriously, I can't give it to you. I mean, it's actually sort of patented. What do you mean by that? He says, look, you should just Google me. You'd find out what's going on with that way. But she says, I don't want to have to Google you. I just need help. I need pies. He agrees to come up that weekend to help. Later on, Emily and Gloria do in fact search for him online and find out that his family owns a brand of pie that's in stores all over the country. Why is he working then? Why does he have a job at all? When he arrives that weekend, Emily admits that she did do her research and she has a lot of questions. We cut to them baking. So he explains that his family owned a small pie company making pies, but it went big, got very popular, and now they're a huge pie company with pies in store chains all across the world, or at least America. The thing is, though, he was never really into that. He was more into real estate and helping people find new places and helping make agreements where everybody's a winner. That sort of rah-rah, I'm helping out kind of a thing. But in regards to the pie, Emily cannot tell anyone that he's helping her out with this. She cannot tell anyone that it's his pie. Make it up. Say you got the recipe. Say you got it from the internet. Say you got it from your grandmother who brought it over from the old country. Whatever you do not say you got it from me. After hearing all of this, she asks, why are you working with Dorothy? And that's when he explains his interest in real estate as opposed to the food businesses. And this guy, finally, why did you really come up to help us? And he says, well, I just wanted to help. And she goes, but isn't that a conflict of interest? And he says, maybe, but I like to help people. He has flour on his face, so she has to help get it off, and they almost smooch. You know the deal. We then join the ladies as they work at the ice cream shop. Gloria explains that they're making lots of money, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to hit their goal, at least not yet. Cut to the Christmas barn dance that was set up in the first, 10 minutes of the movie. This is an annual event they have on the farm. There's a band, and people are dancing. Everyone has a great time. Even Trey, the banker who's there, he asks Emily for a quick dance where he also mentions those payments are due soon because they extended that new line of credit. He also asks if maybe Dorothy would be coming. Unfortunately, no. But Emily says that she'll give her Trey's number. He's happy about that. Charlie Business arrives. Now it's time to dance. Emily says this is the most Christmas spirit she's felt in a long time. Maybe her luck is starting to turn around. Charlie and Emily rest their heads on one another's shoulders and dance. We see that the real estate business guy is there, and he watches them dance. We cut to later. Charlie Business admits that he came to the dance because he really wanted to see Emily, and she's glad to hear it. She wanted to see him too. Then he says he has something for her. Something to tell her. It's about the farm, and it's about business. It's about her sister. He just kind of meanders around what he's trying to tell her. And then eventually they get interrupted by someone. So she doesn't finish his thought. And then when the interruption finishes, she doesn't say, wait, what were you telling me? Instead, she just asks him, when are you coming back? And he goes, well, I promise I'll be back by Christmas Eve, regardless of the reason. And that's because on Christmas Eve, they're either signing these documents or They're not signing those documents, and he'll come up for a good reason. This makes Emily really sad. He tells her, look, don't give up on your dreams. She says goodbye and leaves without a kiss. Later, we see her sad, talking to her mom. And I got a little confused at her motivations in this, the character, like where the character's coming from. Because she's really upset, but she also is kind of mad or upset with Charlie Business, and I don't know why. He didn't say anything wrong, other than reminding her that he'll be back on Christmas Eve for a potentially not great result. So she's crying. How did she let herself think that he was into her? He's just trying to close this deal. And her mom is like, I don't know about that. I think he actually is into you. Emily doesn't believe it, though. Later that night, we catch up with Emily as she cleans the shop and walks the real estate business guy. Emily assures him that she hasn't changed her mind. He says, well, I'm surprised to see that since I saw you dancing cheek to cheek with Charlie Business. He doesn't call him Charlie Business. He assumed that this meant she was in on the deal. What deal? What are you talking about? Well, don't you know that Charlie Business and Dorothy, he doesn't name them like that, are working with another real estate developer to sell that land and that they're close to a deal? Emily, of course, does not know this. She gets really upset. She thanks the guy for coming by, and she'll let him know if anything changes. Then she cries pretty darn hard and eats ice cream. Of course she eats ice cream. She has no idea what to do. We know this because she says it out loud. I don't know what to do. She freaks out. She eventually finds and pulls out the contract that explains how Dorothy got her portion of the farm. She looks through it, and it seems like she notices something, but she doesn't. She just gets an idea. She records a video. She pleads with the customers of her shop that she needs to save her farm. She explains how she was told the farm was being sold to a dairy consortium, and then that was a lie. If she can't come up with almost $300,000 in 2 days, the farm will be lost to a series of housing plots. Is that what people want? She even explains the contract and how she's trying to buy out her sister. It's weird to be giving this much information to the general public. She closes by saying, we can do this, but we need people's help. We cut to Dorothy and Charlie watching the video in their office. Dorothy thinks Charlie must have said something. He says, I didn't. I don't know how she found out, but I feel bad and I should have told her. Dorothy isn't worried, though. There's nothing she can do to raise that sort of money in that amount of time. And then we see Charlie Business is thinking to himself. Later that day, we see the fundraiser is climbing pretty fast, but will it be fast enough? ? We cut to Emily announcing the winner of the ice cream flavor contest on the local news. She says the winner is Charlie, and she gives his real last name, which isn't business. And I'm surprised that she would do that, given all the information that Charlie gave her about not connecting him with this pie. At the same time, he's the one that officially entered his flavor into the contest. She concludes her announcement by pleading with people to still help. Later at the shop, an older gentleman comes in and really wants to try that Christmas a la mode. He said he saw the story on the news. He says he once ran a family business and knows how hard it can be. He really admires what they're doing. Emily thanks him and gives him his cone of ice cream. Just then, Charlie Business walks in. Emily doesn't want to talk to him. He says it's not what it looks like. And then when they're talking, we can see the businessman seeming to hide himself in the back of the room. Eventually, they head to another part of the shop, which is less populated, and the businessman sneaks out the door. Anyway, Charlie explains it all, about how he got so much from helping them and how he sees the possibility of life outside of the rat race of the city, and also that he's fallen for her. Yet, Emily remains stone-faced. Is that it? It is. That is it, actually, Emily. That's all he has to say. She says, well, this farm means everything to us. I'm sorry it took you so long to see why it could mean so much to everybody, but it's too late. She wishes him a Merry Christmas in a very stern way and walks away. Later on, we drop in on a gift exchange between Gloria and Emily and her mom. Gloria gives them a new Santa for their collection. Emily and her mom give Gloria a greeting card in which is a check for enough money to get her family to Florida. She thanks them very much and they all hug. She also is very reluctant to accept the money. She goes, no, you guys need it more than me. And Emily's like, look, it was $1,000. $1,000 isn't going to make or break this deal. Like, if it does, then we're in too much trouble as it is. We then get to see Emily talking to her dad in the sky. She says she's tried as hard as she could, but it might be too late. But she's still not going to give up on hope. Another star shoots across the sky, and she laughs, and she's like, Dad, I love you. It's late Christmas Eve. The trio of women watch the fundraiser. The shop's already closed for the day. The trio of women watch the fundraiser tick up, but they're only at $315,000. In walks Dorothy and Trey? What's he doing there? Well, he's there because Dorothy wanted a man from the bank to be present for this contract signing. And also, we know that she's sweet on Trey. There's also another man. He's just a representative of the company that they're selling the farm to. No Charlie, though. That's notable. It's time to sign over the farm. Just as Emily is putting pen to paper, they get another donation for $100,000. It's a miracle. It's also anonymous. Dorothy is very unhappy. But then in walks the older man from the day before that wanted to try the ice cream. He's there to deliver 500 pies for an Emily White. Emily says, well, that's me. She walks out to greet him. Wait, are you Charlie Business's dad? He is. And in walks Charlie. He says, I hope you guys got the donation. They did. The dad explains, like he said at the end of the shop the day before, that he also had a small family business, and he knows how things can go. Charlie explains that they thought the two businesses could make a good partnership, but only if Emily will have them. And him. Will they? They will. Everyone is very happy, but business is not yet done. Emily tells Dorothy she'll have a check for her the day after Christmas. Dorothy accepts. She says, I never wanted to sell the farm. I just didn't want us to lose it. Mom invites her to stay for dinner, but she has to get back to the city. But then they invite Trey for dinner. He's in. And of course Dorothy stays at that point. We cut to the day after Christmas. It seems like it's actually Christmas Day, and like the movie forgot, they said that the check would be arriving the day after Christmas, because this looks like a Christmas Day family gathering. But according to the movie, it has to be the day after Christmas. Anyway, they hand over the check to Dorothy in the living room of the house. Charlie has something for Emily. It's a sleeve of ice cream cups, all with a cute cow on it, and they all read, Happy Cow Ice Cream, and establishing a new brand based upon what Emily said earlier. Emily loves it. They kiss. The end. This whole ending of the story and how it all works out, it's kind of confusing. I'm sure all of it can be sort of waved away as working out. But, okay, so they extended a line of credit at the bank in order to pay off, well, I guess pay Gloria, among other things, so that they could pay off some of the debts, but then they just put them further in debt, right? So that debt still exists. Then they get $415,000 through a fundraiser. They have to pay Dorothy $400,000 in order to buy her out of her contract. Now, that does not mean that they are making money. That simply means she has no control over this process. So once they pay her $400,000, all they have is $15,000. What about the money you owe the bank? What about any of the other debts that you have? What is going on here? Like they totally ignore all of that, because it's like in this telling of the story, getting that $400,000 in and of itself is, we got $400,000. Yeah, you did, but you're immediately giving it away and you're not getting anything in return. And it also doesn't make any sense if Dorothy is willing to not sell the farm if it seems like it's a viable business. Why is she accepting the $400,000? Why not just say, looks like we have a hot product on our hands. This place is going to start making money hand over fist. Why don't I go ahead and just leave my money invested in this, and then I can make money off the top? It doesn't make any sense, but that's what the story did. It was fine. It was fine. Some fun performances. The MVP of the movie is going to be the guy that plays Charlie Business. I thought he was pretty good. Emily is also pretty good. Nobody else, unfortunately, really matters within the grand scheme of things. Nobody else gets as much screen time as them. And I guess that's all for this early morning recording session here on the first day of a new timing schedule where I live. But I'm not going to go to sleep. I got to go run some errands, everybody. And then later on, we're going to watch a movie. Not we, unfortunately, you're not invited. It's just going to be me watching a movie. And then I'll talk about it again later on. That's the way this works. This is Joe Watches 60 Christmas Movies in 60 Days. And it's time for some Jingle Bells. Talk to you soon.